girl Brandy, aka Miss B, and welcome to another episode of Give It Grace podcast. Y'all, I'm struggling today. I ain't gonna lie, I was struggling. For y'all who don't know, I have a nephew. He's 8 years old. I don't have any children of my own, but I like to think of him as mine. You know, I get all the fun and none of the responsibility, which I love. And he just started school this week, and I'm calling him to check on him to see how his day was and what interesting things happened in his world now that he's in the third grade. And the little boy honestly doesn't really want to talk to me, and I don't know how to feel about it. He's just at that age where he's not really interested in what I have to say, and he's more interested in playing Fortnite. To be honest, Fortnite, I don't know what y'all out here doing to these kids, but they're hypnotized. Like, honestly, I'll be talking to him on FaceTime and he's playing Fortnite. And honestly, it's like I'm not even there. And he's quick to be like, I'm going to call you back. I'm playing my game. And he's talking to his friends. And honestly, I'm a little jealous of Fortnite, to be honest. If I'm honest, like, what are y'all doing to hypnotize these kids with these battle royales? That to the point that they don't even want to talk to their family. They don't want to talk to us. They want to just play Fortnite. I feel like the only way that I'm going to get him to talk to me is if I decide to make me a Fortnite account and start playing with him. And honestly, I don't want to do that. So Fortnite, I need answers from y'all. But honestly, I'm going to give y'all some grace. Because I know y'all got good intentions. But what y'all out here doing to these kids is questionable, but it's okay. Like I said, I'm gonna give y'all some grace. Okay, so I want to just jump right into this episode today, y'all. This is going to stretch some of us. We're going to be stretched in this episode, and that's okay. That's what we're here for, right? So the first segment of our show is called Give Them Some Grace, and this is where we talk about a person of influence or a celebrity who's out here getting dragged in the social media and media streets, and to see if we can look at their situations with a different perspective and give them some grace. So the person I want to talk about today is Russell Simmons. So I know this is going to stretch some of us, but this is why we're here. We're here to be stretched, okay? So Russell Simmons recently spoke out on Instagram following some backlash that his celebrity friends like Usher and Taraji P. Henson were getting online after visiting him in his home in Bali. So I don't know what Russell Simmons is out there in Bali doing, but I do know he's on some sort of spiritual journey. So some of his friends have been visiting him, and as a result, they've been getting some backlash online. Okay, so Russell Simmons recently had some sexual assault allegations, which he does mention in the video. And he even says that he's never spoken to a police officer about any of these allegations or stood before a judge, and has even completed several lie detector tests in efforts to prove his innocence. So what he was mostly upset by was the backlash that his friends were getting from visiting him. So I do want to go to the comments section of that post and see what the folks was saying. So somebody said, just because you go outside and sit crisscross applesauce don't mean you a changed man. Okay. I think that's a little much, but we're going to keep going. Somebody else said, but you laid with an Asian woman and elevated white woman. Bye. Let them defend you. Okay. Somebody else said, how can you be living your best life in Bali while simultaneously being worried about what people on Twitter and Instagram think about you? But then some people were saying, leave that man alone. And one of the comments said, the older I get, the more I stop caring about other people's business. And that's a word. That's really a word. And really, that's a great segue into me asking, can we possibly give Russell Simmons some grace? Okay. Russell Simmons is a part of our culture. Russell Simmons was one of the first rich black men that I knew as a child. When I seen them rush card commercials, y'all know the ones I'm talking about. They used to come on BET. I knew that man had money and influence, because in order for you to have your own card that people could actually use and put their funds on, I said, oh, he owns a bank. I never had the rush card, so I don't know, but I thought the man owned a bank. So I want to ask, without knowing all of the facts, right? Not knowing the full story, we do know that he has some allegations against him, but he hasn't been convicted of anything. So without knowing the full story, can we possibly give Russell Simmons some grace? And specifically, the friends that are being dragged of Russell Simmons. Because honestly, y'all, I've said it before, being human means that you're innately flawed. Like, I know these people are people of influence and they have all of this money and they've contributed to our culture and they're famous and they're celebrities. A lot of times we feel like people with money don't deserve grace. It's like, oh, well, they rich, so they don't have feelings. And that's just not the case. They're still human beings, and human beings are innately flawed, right? So, and I said this in a previous episode, the only human being who was ever perfect, who walked this earth, was Jesus Christ. And Jesus was out here healing people, creating miracles. He's raising people from the dead, all of the good things that he did. He still was crucified by people. The same people that he helped crucified him. And that's just a fact. Despite all of the wonderful things that he did, Jesus was still crucified. And I feel like the same thing is happening with Russell Simmons and a lot of our legends. They've given us so many great things, and maybe they're not being physically crucified, but I would argue that the wounds are internal. The comment section, the media, just spewing negativity. Like, these are human beings, y'all. These are human beings. And don't get me wrong, the allegations against Russell Simmons are serious. But like I always say, we don't know the full story. We don't know the full stories. So just turning it back to his friends that are visiting him and now getting a lot of backlash for even visiting him. We as human beings, we are designed for human connection. Like, we have to have it. So friends, and especially when you're in the limelight, when you're a celebrity, what I've heard, I don't know, I'm not a celebrity, I don't know. But what I've heard and seen is that it's very difficult for them to find good friends, loyal friends, because they're celebrities. People always want to be around you. They want to be your friend, but they want to be your friend to get something in return. Get notoriety from just being associated with you, or money or influence or whatever, or clout. It's very difficult for celebrities to find good friends. Drake said it. He said it. No friends in the industry. Just something, and no kin to me. Somebody give me the lyrics, because I don't know. But he even said it. It's no friends in the industry. So for Russell Simmons to have good friends, loyal friends, friends willing to travel all the way to Bali to go and visit him, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. So I'm asking if we could possibly give Russell Simmons and his friends like Usher and Taraji P. Henson some grace. Okay? Because honestly, especially when you're going through tough times, you really need your friends. And that'll really show you who your real friends are. If you really want to know who your real friends are, go through a tough time. Lose all your money. Have people talking about you badly. Have serious allegations against you that may or may not be true. That's going to reveal who your true friends are. And in these cases, Usher, Taraji P. Henson, those are real friends, and he is blessed to be able to have them. And I'm definitely going to give him some grace, because he's definitely going to defend his friends. Y'all coming at his friends for what? They didn't do anything. They're just being good friends. If anything, y'all should be applauding them. But in this day and age, good friends are far and few in between, to be honest. So I can understand how people don't even see that value and see how that's something sacred to have. Like that type of friendship that you'll come to my aid when the whole world is against me. I pray for friends like that. I want to be a friend like that, to be honest. I do. I want to be a friend like that. So we are definitely going to give Russell Simmons some grace, give to Roger P. Henson, Usher, and all the friends who have visited him some grace. Because really, it's always a good time for y'all to mind y'all business. And why are y'all so upset at somebody friends visiting them? Why? Leave him alone. And then another thing is, for the person who said crisscross applesauce, that was cute. That was real cute. I liked that. That was funny. I'm going to give you some grace for that. But honestly, come on. Come on. Give him some grace, okay? So Russell Simmons, we are extending grace, love, light, and positivity your way. And we hope that you continue to have friends that'll come to your aid when you're most vulnerable and most in need. All right, so the next segment of our show is called Give It Some Grace. And this is where we talk about everyday annoyances or things that get on our nerves and see if we can look at them through a different perspective of grace, okay? So the topic that I want to talk about today is really a difficult topic for me because I have dealt with this personally. And it's something I'm still working through and still growing through. So I want to talk about the subject of toxic family members. I feel like a majority of us have experienced or at least witnessed the actions of toxic family members. So what are toxic family members and what makes them toxic? Some examples could be like, the family members that are constantly just negative every time you're around them. Like they always have something negative to say about everything. They're going to complain about everything. The ones that go to a cookout and then complain about the food, but they the same ones that's packing up to-go plates and eating for free. Okay, those toxic family members. The family members whose names pop up on your phone and you're like, oh my God, what do they want? These are the toxic family members, the ones who cause trauma, the people who normalize dysfunction. These are toxic family members. So the way that I typically want to respond to toxic family members, and I have done this in the past, is I want to keep space between us. And I also want to tell them about themselves. I want to give them the read of their life. I want to just open the library and read them for filth about everything. And honestly, I want them to change. I want them to change their ways. And then one of the most dangerous things that I want to do is I want to help them. I want to help them because they're my family, right? I know you're toxic, but as I'm growing, I want them to experience some of the things that I've experienced because they are my family, right? It's like, if I don't do it, who else is going to do it? And I want to help them. So that's the way I typically want to respond. But the way that we need to respond sometimes when it comes to toxic family members is that giving grace can sometimes mean removing yourself and loving them from a distance. I believe that you can give grace by removing yourself or distancing yourself from toxic family members without the need for an explanation. To me, if any relationship, it could be a family, a friend, lover, anybody, if that relationship is draining you, suffocating you, not serving you, rattling your spirit, you have the right to revoke access without an explanation. You don't need to explain why you're distancing yourself to them. You're just doing it. It's you protecting you. And you have every right to protect yourself, especially from toxic family members. Because I feel like a lot of times we will take the most from our family members for the sole fact that they are our family. And I feel like if you are going to explain it to them, if you are going to explain, why you're distancing yourself, even though you don't need to, I feel like you could do it with grace. Like, you want to make sure you want to do it with grace. Like, you ain't got to cuss them out. You ain't got to explain it to them. You ain't got to tell everybody, oh, I'm not messing with such and such because of such and such. You don't got to do all of that. You could do it with grace. Just remove yourself, revoke that access, and be gracious in it. And I feel like you can do that. I feel like you have the right to do that. I believe you can still love someone and not give them access to you. And I know that sometimes people don't understand that. It's like, I can love you, but you don't have access to me in the way that you used to. Because giving you access to me hurts me. And I don't want to hurt me anymore. And so I'm removing that access to protect myself. And that's okay. You can be selfish in that way. And something that I've learned as I get older is that family is not always connected to your bloodline. Like, sometimes bloodline is the only thing that's connecting you to some of these family members. And if you really sat back and asked yourself, like, if this was a person out on the street or this was a friend, would I deal with them? Would I deal with that? Like, would I do that? And most of the time, like, in those situations where we're talking about toxic family members, we wouldn't. So I want to encourage some of you guys that are dealing with toxic family members to revoke access without an explanation. That's grace. Because honestly, sometimes when you're around them, like for me, I know if I'm around somebody that's negative all the time, then they're bringing the negativity out of me. Like, misery loves company. So it's like when people are constantly negative, it's like it pushes you in a negative space. So now you're saying things that you wouldn't normally say, and you didn't cuss them out, and now you feeling all bad about it because that ain't even who you are anymore. You're trying to grow, you're trying to be better, and they just bringing the worst out of you. So by revoking access to you, you're actually extending grace to them. Because what you deserve is for me to cuss you out all the time, every time. But what I'm doing is I'm removing myself so that I don't do that. And that's grace. That's grace. So for those of you who have dealt with toxic family members, I know for me, I definitely have. I just want to encourage you to give it some grace. And sometimes giving it grace means removing yourself and revoking that access to you. And I promise you, you will feel a lot better. All right, so the last segment of our show is called Give Me Some Grace. And this is where I share personal experiences in situations where I could have given some more grace or received some more grace. And it's also an opportunity for you, the listeners, to write in and share your stories of times where you could have received some more grace or given some more grace. All right, so this is really hard for me to talk about because it's something that I'm still navigating and dealing with today. Over the last few years, if you don't know, I've really been on a healing journey, trying to overcome and work through my past traumas, figuring out why I am the way I am, why I think the way I am, what hurt me back then that still shows up today. So I've really been doing the mental work that's required for you to grow and to heal. And one of those areas has been healing in my immediate family. Growing up, I really didn't really want for much in my childhood. I know that my mom was a single mom and I know that she had struggles, but it was something that I didn't really see as a child. When I got a little bit older, when I was like in high school, is when I started to see, my mom really fall on hard times. So I was homeless 2 times that I remember, for about 8 to 12 months each of those times. And, my mom really struggled. And so again, I was in high school. So I was child, high school years, they was rough. And to be homeless as a high school teen, it is really rough. And it was something that still to this day I still have to work through, because it taught me a lot of things about people, how people aren't always willing to help. It's the reason why I don't like to ask anybody for anything. It kind of hardened me, because I got to see how people treat you when you fall on hard times. And as an adult, it's something that I never want to experience, because I know how people are when they feel like you need them. So my mom, she is an incredible woman. She had incredible strength. She had 3 kids that she was raising on her own. And so we dealt with a lot of hardships, especially during that time. I feel like I've been able to work through a lot of those traumas. I've been able to see my mom as not just my mother, but as a woman who was just trying to survive and trying to give her children the best life that she could give, given her means. It's very hard sometimes for us to see our parents as people and the mistakes they've made as, them just trying to survive. And so that's something that I've worked on, and I've forgiven my mom for her shortcomings, because I know that she did her best. And look at me now, okay? Look at me now. All the things that I've dealt with in the past, I'm grateful for, because I know a lot of people who, they wasn't homeless in high school. They had everything that they needed, and they grew up and now they homeless adults, because they never went through any struggle. Everything was really given to them. And then once they became adults, it was hard, for them to take that responsibility that comes with being an adult. So for me, I look at those situations as fuel for my future. I know what it's like to be without a home. I know what it's like to see a woman do it by herself and survive. So I know at the end of the day, I'm going to survive. So now I feel like one of my sisters, she hasn't done that work. And she still blames my mother for a lot of things that have gone on in her life. And a lot of the things I don't even feel like my mom is responsible for. At some point, you have to take ownership of your life and responsibility over your decisions. And I don't feel like she has done that. So me and her constantly bump heads, especially when it comes to my mama. Both my sisters know that at this big age that I'm at, I'm going to war for my mama, okay? I'm going to war for my mama. It don't matter. With her own kids. I'm going to war with her own kids, if necessary. That's just how much I love and appreciate my mom, and so I have a sister, and she doesn't feel like that. It's a lot of things that, she was the older sister, so she had, come up of age earlier than me and my other sister. So it was a lot of things she had to deal with that I didn't see. And, as much as I'll empathize with her, because we did grow up the same way, I feel like at some point when you're an adult, you have to work through that trauma. And the trauma shows up every time I'm around her. When I'm around her, my spirit is rattled. No matter how many times I've extended olive branches and tried to build that relationship with her, it leads to nowhere. So she's actually been one of the people that I have said that I've had to love from a distance, and I'm giving her grace, because sometimes we do want people to be on our same level, especially me. I'm a Gemini. We feel like, and I'm a Gemini Aquarius rising. So we really be like, okay, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and come on, move on. And not everybody is like that. Everybody processes their own experiences and traumas differently. And so I want to give her some grace. For me, giving her grace is me distancing myself from her, because I know that I am a trigger for her. She feels like, being the big sis, she had to deal with things that me and my other sister didn't have to deal with. And she's probably right. And it's a lot of the things that she had to deal with were not her fault. And I recognize that, and I am giving her grace. But my way of giving her grace is really removing myself from her, because I recognize that even my presence is a trigger for her. Some of the things that I say about things that I disagree with in her life is a trigger for her. I'm at the age where it's hard for me to keep my mouth shut. Like, I want everybody around me to get better. I want everybody to experience healing that I've experienced. So it's hard for me to bite my tongue and be like, oh, I'm going to just let you suffer in silence. Like, I want to help you. And sometimes people don't receive that help because they're not ready. Everybody is on their own healing journey. And for my sister, I feel like there's a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of resentment that she hasn't worked on. And I feel like me distancing myself is allowing her room to be able to do that safely. So I love her, but I have to love her from a distance. And I think that's how we can extend grace to the people that we love. Sometimes your presence is disruptive for them. And recognizing that and moving on that and saying, hey, actually, I'm willing to remove myself so that you can get better. That's grace. So let me know if you've ever experienced anything similar down in the comments below. Share your advice, because honestly, y'all can help me. I can help y'all. We're helping each other, to be honest. We're helping each other because we're all growing and learning. All right, y'all. So that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you stayed and tuned into this entire episode, I love you. I'm sending you love, light, positivity, and grace. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye, y'all.
Give it race, get gang, get gang, get gang, get gang, get gang. We ain't the same, we changing things. We live without the pain and shame.